Hi everyone, I'm Sadie and
I'm Aliya.
And today we're here with you from the Oracle's new podcast, Two Opinionated Students.
Where all we'll be talking about is just, anything that we might find interesting, opinionated stuff, controversial topics, anything from politics to things that affect students personally, such as education reform, yada yada.
Anything that relates to students or us in some other way. And we will be covering these topics from an opinionated but informed perspective. Today, our first topic is going to be the importance of the humanities in a world that seems to focus solely on STEM.
Though I think we should mention that we're both very humanities focused. We're both very big in social studies and English. We're not very good at STEM-related subjects such as math. So we do kind of have a bias here, but this try to be as unbiased as possible. It's just more of a why we should focus and why are humanities treated as such a joke they are compared to STEM and how serious and important STEM appears to be, especially for us people. Actually, I feel like that's actually more important. It's the fact that we are biased. So, we see that we're being mistreated or, almost looked down upon.
Yeah, and that certainly helps our perspective, but we also just would like to clarify for you guys that it probably is going to have a little bit of bias, but in a way that bias could potentially help. It's certainly going to give a different perspective than what you might see from, the average student here at Steinbrenner.
Mm-hmm. So we can easily say, just to start off, let's just say English for now, and how much of it, specifically at Steinbrenner, English is kind of treated as a joke subject, especially compared to, math.
Absolutely.
So, let's say the AP English classes, they're not taken seriously, even though they're AP. They're just as valid as an AP class as, let's say, AP Calculus BC.
Definitely. And, there's no reason why they should be treated differently. The thing is, because we focus so much on getting kids in honors and AP as opposed to honors regulars and AP, I feel like people get pressured into taking the AP classes even when maybe they shouldn't, because it's seen as just not necessarily the status of an AP class. It's seen as what is expected of you, because English doesn't matter that much, right? It should be easy to take the AP version, and that's not necessarily true. I would never take AP Calc BC, so why should we be forcing people who have the opposite type of thinking as me, or the opposite type of brain, if you will, to do the same thing for English? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Which kind of, I don't know if this is an issue elsewhere outside of Steinbrenner.
I would assume it is.
Where it's just well, no, it's more of the cutting of the fact that we've cut regular classes overall, especially particularly English
and social studies even.
Yeah, the English department has cut off, for listeners who are not part of Steinbrenner, Steinbrenner has cut off all of their regular classes for the English department. So now all you have is honors. Honors is now the new regular, and AP is now the new honors. AP is not taken like an AP. It's not a college course. It's now just an honors course for if you don't want to be in the dumb honors English class, which is now our regular class.
And it's not only is it seen as you should be in AP, it's what's expected of you. And I think there's a lot of pressure that is put on students unnecessarily to take these AP classes when they may or may not be prepared for them. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure some people are definitely prepared to take these classes, but I don't think it's fair to have that pressure and that expectation, especially if you're not prepared or if you don't want to. I think it should be easy to say, no, I belong in this class, just like I've been able to do with my math classes. And I do think, though, in general, across the country, the idea of math or science or anything STEM-related is being treated as higher than English. And that's, in a way, yes, I know they want us to have all of the jobs as scientists and mathematicians and all of that. However, everybody needs basic English, and I would say to an extent complex English to survive in general.
Which, wow, if we're going to get historical here, it kind of falls back into the fact that after World War II, particularly American education, there was such a big focus on big science. And big science is usually defined on immediately after World War II, it was nuclear science, being a nuclear physicist, yada yada.
Working for NASA and the space race, all of that was easily promoted.
Mm-hmm. So it's being a physicist, being an engineer, being this theoretical science and even applied science, so that for innovation or for simply
just advancing, in that time period, advancing your country. In this time period, I think it's advancing yourself.
Oh yeah, also somewhat of a capitalistic exploitation, or what's it? Pardon, I feel like I pronounced that wrong. Exploitation.
Oh, exploitation. I think I meant expectation, but either way, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah,
it is expected of you to make money. It is expected of you to give back to society, but to give back to society in the specific way that we're telling you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, everybody needs basic English comprehension skills to function, and yes, you need basic math skills too, but I think some of the more complex stuff is also something you're going to run into more complex English stuff on a daily basis than complex math stuff.
Also,
in terms of practicality, at least.
Yeah. And for humanities, social studies specifically, those general humanities classes, not that they necessarily teach it, but it's definitely like a compassionate class in terms of like you're learning other cultures, and it makes you more tolerant of other cultures and more aware of like the differences. And I guess in turn it almost subconsciously makes you compassionate. That's the wrong word, because like compassion prior to that. Yeah, you're more tolerant. But, that's the word.
Yeah, and I think that's honestly something that needs to be a huge part of the curriculum in general, because like I think a lot of issues that we have at school and in society stem from a lack of understanding of people with differences, and the only way you're really going to clear that up is if you understand those differences. And if we don't have a humanities class to teach us that, and something like a human geography class isn't mandated by the state as a graduation requirement, how else are we going to understand this? I mean, you can hope we'll learn on our own, you can hope we'll take humanities classes for fun, but there's no guarantee of that.
Yeah.
And if education is to prepare us for the real world, why aren't they preparing us for the real world in that sense?
Yeah. Isn't that weird that the only required humanities class is U.S. history?
U.S. history.
Because world history is not required. There's no, EOC.
I thought economics was required, too.
And economics.
And U.S. government. Those... U.S. government.
Those are all... But not world history. That's not technically a requirement. Not human geography, whatever.
Any sort of
at least
studies.
For Steinbrenner or Hillsborough County, Florida, whatever.
Yeah, Florida is what we're looking at here.
Which is very telling of just...
Whereas you need 4 math credits to graduate, and 3 of them are already planned out for you: Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry.
Yep, and 2 of those have EOCs as well?
When I took them, all 3 had EOCs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Its stuff has
They changed it. Yeah, they changed Algebra 2, so it no longer has an EOC. But when we took it, all 3 had EOCs. And EOC is end of course assessment.
End of course exam.
Exam. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. So when I took AP Human, that was back in 9th grade, my teacher actually used to teach in a school district, I believe it was near Orlando, it was somewhere in the state of Florida, where a global studies requirement was a graduation requirement in that county. And global studies in that sense was a class that was basically AP Human Geography, but not AP, so that was accessible to everybody to take this kind of a class. And I think that's something we should definitely have in the curriculum, because it's preparing students definitely for the globalized world and teaching them about it, also teaching about different cultures and things to help you understand the way people in the world work.
Yeah.
It's kind of depressing that's not a requirement.
Yeah. Actually, I think that's actually pretty interesting perspective for us, at least because Sadie and I are seniors who are graduating in 2019.
Yes.
And so we've been at Steinbrenner for all 4 years. We've gone through the rigmarole of everything. So it's like, what we're saying is very much like just from our own personal experience and just what we think is a flaw within at least the Steinbrenner-Hillsborough system.
Definitely. And I mean, I think, so I took AP Seminar, just to explain where all this is coming from. I took AP Seminar in 10th grade, and you have to do a group project for that for your final exam. And my group decided to focus on education and whether it was actually effectively preparing students for the 21st century workforce.
Okay.
And it was a really interesting project, because I still remember a lot of what we learned, and the short answer is no, it's not doing a really good job of preparing students for the 21st century workforce. And a lot of the stuff we found there is, in general, the push for STEM is a nationwide thing.
Yeah.
It's almost a cultural thing, I would say, besides simply a social thing or a governmental thing, a policy-driven thing. It's like a cultural thing. Like, we tend to value those careers. It was very frustrating to me, because doing some of the research I found, there were careers that you could get a 2-year degree at trade school and you would make more than somebody with a PhD in certain social sciences, and I felt like that was insane.
Yeah.
Like, somebody's doing all this work and they're not getting paid that way, but that's in part because our society doesn't value it. It's not just like education's not teaching us how to get these jobs, it's society won't value some of these jobs, at least, until you have them.
Which I think is really interesting. I was just thinking that the only real valuable humanities, quote-unquote, career is being a lawyer, which is just
arguably.
It's not necessarily humanities because it's law, but it's also law.
It kind of is a humanities career.
It's a gray, but I would classify it more as humanities than anything else. And it's like, that's when you're useful to society, and you're you can be civic or you can be public or private, obviously, but it's just like, that's when you're useful to society and you're directly beneficial to the people, whereas everything else is not directly beneficial to the people. A PhD in geography is not beneficial to 90% of people At
least not
that they're
directly.
aware of.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're aware of. Now, I would argue, though, that anybody who's trying to be a public official also is a humanities career that's pretty important, because sometimes we might not necessarily agree with what the government does, but we always need a government to function. It would be really bad if we didn't have a government. It would be really bad if we didn't have, like, NATO and the UN and all of that. So if you're not going to prepare people for those careers, can you imagine what our world is going to look like in 50 years?
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off now, but
It's
we're
okay.
going to have to stop here, everyone, just due to the fact that we're going to try and keep these episodes rather short, because we are both very much, like, big ramblers, especially if we're passionate about the subject. For now, we're just going to cut off here, and if you guys have any, comments, suggestions, anything
questions, anything you feel like asking us, please feel free to use the Oracle social media to contact us. We would love for you to contact us and, keep reading our newspaper as well.
Any necessary links will be in the description below.
Yes.
I think that covers everything.
I think that does.
All right. Thank you for the first episode. We had fun. I hope you guys have fun with this, and have a good day.